Rock and roll has a long history of being blamed for what's wrong with society. And we're not just talking about punk haircuts and bad habits. In some cases, there are those who claim its influence is as significant as life and death. We'll start with the Suicide Pact that two families believe was inspired by a popular heavy metal band.
Emergency service.
There's been a double shooting.
Okay, whereabouts was the shooting?
Right in my backyard.
Raymond Belknap took this shotgun, placed it under his chin, and pulled the trigger.
It was a battle that Judas Priest had to fight. The masters of 80s metal, accused of inspiring violence and death with their music. It started here in Reno, Nevada, 2 days before Christmas, 1985. Two young men, 18-year-old Ray Belknap and his 20-year-old friend James Vance, were listening to the Judas Priest album, Stained Class.
They put the record on and started listening to it over and over. They smoked some pot, they drank beer. Ray's sister described their behavior as getting kind of radical and nasty and violent.
Ken McKenna is the attorney for the boys' families.
They escaped out the bedroom window with a shotgun and went down to the churchyard nearby to the back park where the merry-go-round was. Ray put the gun under his chin, and his last words were, "I sure effed up my life." He blew the shotgun into his head and died instantly.
Then it was James' turn. He picked up the gun and pulled the trigger. James survived, but was severely disfigured. 4 months after the Suicide Pact, he wrote this letter.
I believe that alcohol and heavy metal music such as Judas Priest led us or even mesmerized us into believing the answer to life was death.
James sent the letter to his dead friend's mother, who then brought it to McKenna.
That was the smoking gun that pointed at the music from the mouth of the man who had put a gun to his head. It didn't sound right. It didn't feel right. It seemed like there should be responsibility for putting in that kernel of encouragement to kill yourself.
McKenna and the boys' families focused on the lyrics of one song, Better by You, Better Than Me.
Isn't it ironic that of all the hundreds and hundreds of songs that Judas Priest wrote, they pick a song that we didn't write? It was written by this band called Spooky Tooth from the 70s.
Rob Halford was the lead singer of Judas Priest.
And the reason we recorded that song was because we wanted to try and get into the radio world.
It's in essence a ballad that says, I've been bad.
You could find a way to ease my passion.
I've done bad things.
You listen to the blood flow in my veins.
And mother, I have hurt you by being a bad boy.
You hear the teaching of the wind. Tell her why I'm alive within. I can't find the words. My mind is dead.
So if I kill myself, I will rid you of your pain.
It's better by you, better than me.
And that will be a good thing.
I don't know what the guy was trying to say. I think it's about some bust up with his girlfriend. That's in its simplest way how I view that song.
On August 18th, 1986, Judas Priest was served with a lawsuit.
I remember that the first feeling was just total shock and amazement. We all felt very, very angry because it went against everything that this band and every band in rock and roll stands for. We write music for people to have a good time with, not kill themselves.
Jerry Whitehead was the judge in the case.
The plaintiff had filed an action, in fact, charging the band because of the lyrics, because of the beat of the music.
We thought, oh, this will get thrown out because of that First Amendment issue.
Judge Whitehead was about to dismiss the case based on the First Amendment when McKenna showed up with a new plan.
I stopped the discussion about First Amendment and said, we have a whole new ballgame. We are suing because they have subliminals in the music. Subliminals caused them to take the acts they did.
This area of subliminal messages came up, and we go, if this is subliminal, I want to hear it, you know, because I knew a little bit what a subliminal message was, but I had absolutely no interest in it other than, oh yeah, isn't that thing that they'd put a flash of a popcorn thing in a movie theatre, and they'd make it, oh, I need some popcorn.
But Judge Whitehead found the subliminal message allegations credible enough to grant a trial.
We wanted to prove the subliminals were there. We wanted to prove that the boys heard them, that they had an effect on them.
It's just insane to perceive that someone would make an accusation, an allegation that anyone would deliberately put something in the music that would manifest itself in someone taking their lives.
Almost 5 years after the suicide pact, Judas Priest showed up in Reno to defend their music.
There were hundreds of fans out there holding the flag, placards and so on and so forth. There was a tremendous amount of support, and that really G'd us up, you know.
No subliminal messages at all.
None at all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
I got to speak first, so I really wanted to clearly establish what we were there for.
Raymond Belknap took this shotgun, placed it under his chin, and pulled the trigger, ending his young life of 18 years.
I just deflated. I thought, oh no, you know, it's starting here. Can't we just get straight to the point?
Thereafter, his best friend, James Vance, picked up the same gun, now greasy and slippery with Ray's blood, and he placed it under his chin.
Our sole thing was we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our music.
Is that the letter and photograph you received from James Vance?
Yes. This is what James said made him do it. I had to believe him. He was still here to talk to me.
Why do you think Raymond committed suicide that day?
I think he was affected by the music he was listening to.
The plaintiffs alleged that Judas Priest planted a subliminal message, "Do it." McKenna claimed there were 7 do-its in Better By You, Better Than Me.
I was into the trial a couple of days when we had a mini sound studio set up on the floor of the courtroom. I was very nervous because if the judge didn't hear the subliminals, he could dismiss the case.
There was a moment, I'll never forget, where they were making this point, and then suddenly I could see that the judge had sensed that, oh yeah, I can hear this word, do it.
I did listen to the tape in courtroom before and after a number of times, and I did hear the suggested do it.
Now we've got to go another mile.
I just thought that had been implanted subliminally on the record.
Do it. What's do it? In their mind, do it is kill yourself. Do it is kill yourself. I mean, if you can hear go and kill yourself in a record, okay, you've got some contention for discussion.
2 weeks into the trial, Rob Halford took the stand.
Are there subliminal duets on the Better By You, Better Than Me song?
Absolutely not.
Would you sing those 2 lines as you sang them?
Would you sing them now?
Yes. Can you sing?
Better by you, better than me. You can say what I only can see.
It was a great attempt live to say it was just breathing. Very dramatic.
It wasn't do it, it was a combination of an exhalation of air when I sing, when I perform, and a strange little guitar quirky noise.
After 4 weeks of testimony, the case was now in the hands of Judge Whitehead.
Now, life was on the line in some respect.
You try to be as objective as you can, you understand the risk, you understand, that it's out of your hands.
We did the best we could, we defended ourselves, we did all the right things.
I felt very confident that we were actually going to get everything in a judgment against him.
On August 24th, 1990, Judge Whitehead handed down the verdict.
Additional testimony came in to show that the duet was a combination of sounds from 2 tracks and not from 1. I think it was, in fact, a chance combination of sounds that made the word. I changed my mind.
First of all, I was relieved that he hadn't found for the prosecution.
I didn't want to lose.
But I was disappointed in the statement that he released.
I felt responsibility needed to be there.
That, yeah, he'd heard these noises, but that he hadn't 100% exonerated the band, Judas Priest.
The way you make people responsible is by winning. So it was a big disappointment not to get the final win.
He'd left a little bit of a door open for this to potentially happen again. And that's kind of a scary thought.
James Vance, the young man who survived the suicide pact, died a year before the trial, reportedly from complications with his prescription drugs and his injuries.